If God is for us, then who the is against us? Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top.
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot.
Listen, I'm gonna keep talking about this. 85% of the children in our community cannot read or do math at an acceptable level. To me, that is unacceptable. And if we are not putting all of our energy and resources into preparing our children for the future, nothing that we're doing is going to matter. What is the point of fighting for rights and fighting for legislation and fighting for change in our community if we're not preparing our children to be able to handle that change, to be able to handle those opportunities? And if 85% of our children are not prepared for this world, then it's pointless. And so all of our energy and efforts should be going into preparing and educating our children, not just through the traditional school system, but preparing them for the world that's coming. Technology is changing faster than we can even keep up with. And if you can't even do the basics, if you can't communicate at a basic level by being able to read and articulate yourself, if you can't do basic math, that means you can't solve basic problems, you don't have no hope for the future. And so if those numbers are that high, what that means is that 85% of us are already self-checked. 85% of us have no shot beyond the life of an unskilled laborer if you cannot read or do math at a basic level. And so I don't really understand why our leaders, people in positions of power, are not talking about this as the fundamental start to changing our circumstances. Yeah, we need to fix our credit. Yeah, we need financial literacy. Yes, we need to invest. But if our children are not prepared for the future, they will not have any foundation with which to build. So that should be the number one priority. The number one priority. I have a nonprofit organization called the Anomaly Collective. And the reason why I named it the Anomaly Collective is because I believe I'm an anomaly. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the statistics across the board, all of the highest earning professions, all of the highest earning degrees, engineers, medicine, physicians, attorneys, finance, across the board, we make up less than 5% of professionals in those industries. Even though we make up 14 or 15% of the population, we only make up less than 5% of the industries that have the most opportunity economically. That's because we're not preparing our children. And so I truly believe I am an anomaly. I'm somebody who got opportunities that people I grew up with didn't get. I got chances that people I grew up with did not get. And, you know, whether it's myself, whether it's my friends or colleagues or anybody watching this, listen, I guarantee you have a story. If you made it out of your conditions, out of your circumstances, I guarantee you, you have a story, right? You are an anomaly, right? Your life could have went a whole different way. It's moments in my life where it could have went a whole different direction. And I'm thankful to God for his protection and his covering and for putting people in my life that were looking out for me. But everybody don't get that. Everybody doesn't get that. And so my question is, of everything that we've been able to accomplish in the last 30 or 40 years or 50 years after civil rights, right? That's not a long amount of time. Only a small percentage of us have reached these heights. Only a small percentage of us have been able to accomplish anything of value, right? And I consider those anomalies. And so the question that I constantly ask myself is, how do we normalize the anomaly? How do we normalize the anomaly? How do we normalize success? How do we normalize the results that I have in my life, that other people that have achieved certain heights? How do we take that from being an anomaly, something that rarely happens, and how do we recreate that so that it is a normal part of the experience in our community? How do we normalize the anomaly? How do we take that special, gifted, talented child and recreate and duplicate that amongst our other children? How do we normalize the anomaly? What do we have to do as a community to make it a more normal part of our experience, that we educate ourselves, that we pursue our gifts and our passions, right? That we stop harming one another, that we stop harming ourselves? How do we normalize the anomaly? How do we make success a normal part of our existence and not just something that only a few of us get? The thing that encourages me is that when you're trying to change something, a lot of people think, man, we never gonna change. It's too hard. And the thing that encourages me is that for change to happen, it does not take a majority. It doesn't take all of us to say, you know what, we're gonna make this change. Really, all it takes is a tipping point. A small minority of committed people that have decided that they are going to change their circumstances and the circumstances of their community. It only takes a tipping point. And if you are committed to changing the conditions in your family, to changing the conditions in your community, right? To truly, truly surrounding you and your family with generational wealth, it only takes a tipping point. It only takes a small minority of people who are committed to positivity in our community. And all our circumstances will change, I promise.